Welcome to Mission Evolution Radio Show with Gwilda Wiyaka, bringing together today's leading experts to uncover ever-deepening spiritual truths and the latest scientific developments in support of the evolution of humankind. For more information on Mission Evolution Radio with Gwilda Wiyaka, visit www.missionevolution.org. And now, here's the host of Mission Evolution, Miss Gwilda Wiyaka.
Most of us want to live a long life. However, it's becoming increasingly challenging to maintain our health with age. Is having both health and longevity an option? And what is needed to achieve it? Mission Evolution Radio TV show is coming to you around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net. Joining us from the UK to explore health and longevity is Sifu Peter Newton, the author of 8 Steps to Living a Long Life, The Earth Path of Taoism. Peter is a registered senior instructor, an honorary vice president in the Tai Chi Union for Great Britain. An expert in his field, he specializes in medical Tai Chi, applying Tai Chi and qigong as a remedial therapy, a variety of health conditions. Peter has more than 40 years of experience and training directly with Chinese masters. His website? ChinaBridgeTaiChi.com. Peter, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Hi there.
So, let's start with, what is Taoism?
Taoism is, which goes back thousands of years. Taoism is a way of life for the ancient Chinese. It's the way they would interact with nature. Their minds, their bodies, how they lived. So Taoism was, rather than think of it as a religion, Taoism is a way of life, basically. And the way we live our lives today is totally alien to how the Taoists would live back in ancient times, you know. So yes, it was tuning into the people who tuned into nature, who saw the awesome power of nature, who realized the potential of tuning themselves into nature. And it didn't follow a deity, you know, as in Christianity, etc. There was no one deity that they were following. They were just following the awesome power of nature, the forces of nature. So that's it in a nutshell, living in tune with nature. And they still do it. You know, there's places in China where they still do that. And they have temples. They have temples to those who followed nature to the point and the potential of the human body and spirit, to the point they reputedly became immortal. And when they were immortalized, they became the demigods, in a sense, that they then put up as their idols now in the temples in China. Yeah, so that's it in a nutshell, really.
So it sounds like it kind of progressed from just the alignment with nature to then revering those that really, really aligned with nature, and then supposedly didn't get old.
Yeah. Yes, it's the pursuit of longevity, really. It was to see what the human potential was by, let's say, cutting out the stresses of life and seeing if the body would then be able to move forward in a healthier way. And they certainly, they achieved it. They were no other nation on the planet was involved in longevity research in the same way that the Chinese were, the ancient Chinese. Yeah, without a doubt.
So what attracted you to Tai Chi and Qigong originally?
As a gentleman on TV back in the late 1970s, I saw a documentary on China came on TV. I was at a particular crossroads in my life where I wasn't sure. I'd been practicing karate and Aikido. And, you know, when you feel like it doesn't quite fit me, it's not quite right. They weren't just quite right for me, but I didn't know what I was looking for at the time. And then on came this documentary about China, and it was turned out to be, it was about Wudang, the Wudang Tai Chi mountain in Hubei province in central China. And it was about this one particular Chinese master who was in his late 90s, and he got up. They had like an elevated stage, and he got up onto the stage and he performed these movements. And at that point, I didn't have a clue what it was. And he performed these movements for somebody in their 90s, and he was at that time he was 70 years plus older than me, and I couldn't do what he was doing. I couldn't even get close to what he was doing. And you know, when you have that light bulb moment, that was my light bulb moment. I said, that's it. That's what I'm looking for.
That's where I want to go.
Specifically what I wanted to do. Yeah. So so that's my first introduction to it. Really was via an amazing Chinese man who's so supple, so balanced, so centered, so serene. So I just couldn't believe that. You know, and to this day, I still think he's an amazing man. You know.
So, how long have you been practicing?
So within 12 months, it took me about 12 months ish to find a teacher. So I found a teacher, a Tai Chi teacher, but it was a Kung Fu hard action Kung Fu school in North Wales, where I live. And so I had to go via the Kung Fu route and learn all the martial arts route. And at the end, they said, we'll teach you this Tai Chi that you asked for, but you must first do the Kung Fu route. So I went through a couple of years of the Kung Fu thing. And at the end of that, they felt I was good enough to then go into the Tai Chi. And as soon as I took up Tai Chi, it was only within about 6 months, I was in their demonstration team. They put me straight into their demonstration team. So whenever they put a big demo on, I was in the Tai Chi team doing the thing, because I like a duck to water, you know. It's perfect for me, perfect fit for me.
I was in massage college, and they brought in a Tai Chi team to do a demonstration, because they were trying to teach us how to move energy when you're doing the work, right? The healing work.
Yeah.
And this one little tiny gal, she was the instructor, and two big brutes were working with her. And she stands there and lets them pick her up by the elbows.
Yeah.
No problem. And then she does something, I wasn't sure what it was, and they could not pick her up off the floor. They could not. And you could see them efforting. What was going on there?
That is called rooting. Rooting. It's when you relax every bone, almost, you could say, to the bone. The soft tissues of the body relax. You align your structural frame so the gravitational force moves through you perfectly through your center line. It's known as the deep center line, because it doesn't work if you're off your center. The gravitational line is just off center, and then you try that routine, your root will break. You won't be able to root. But when you gravitationally align and you relax and center all your joints, relax all the soft tissues, and then the secret, breathe out gently through the nose when they try to lift you up. And you'll be amazed how gravitational force with a relaxed body becomes so heavy that it's like lifting, you know, huge bags of coal, you know, trying to lift it up, you know.
It's like a 2-year-old going into a tantrum and going limp, and you can't pick them up for anything.
Well, it's that relaxed thing. When you relax, your body just seems to go heavier. And it's all to do with muscular tension. If your muscles go tense, your root is then disrupted, your connection to earth, and you can be picked up very easily then, you know. So yeah, I was taught that long time ago, and I muck about with it sometimes just to impress the groups who I teach.
Well, it was impressive, I have to tell you. It stuck with me this long. So would you share a little bit about Tai Chi and Qigong? How old are they, and where did they come from? Did they come from the same place?
They do. It's all China. It all comes from China. Qigong goes back. It was always mentioned 5,000 years, but I believe an archaeological team in China, could have been about 10, 15 years ago, unearthed some evidence to prove that could be 7,000 years
Oh
that
my.
qigong was first discovered as being something that they were practicing. The early seeds of it were being shown maybe up to 7,000 years ago.
Good heavens.
And it was known as Dao Yin then. Dao Yin, they believe, this is again what I'm getting back on the research from this, is they believe it's called Dao Yin then. And maybe 1,000 years later, it switched to become Qigong. Dao Yin is, and Qigong, so it's the same thing. It's energy exercising. It's exercising to enhance and improve the quality of the energy of the body. And as the Chinese discovered, we have meridians. Well, the meridians of the body are where this energy flows through. But it doesn't stay just in the meridians. It's there, the rivers. You have streams that come out from the rivers, and those streams splinter into little trickles. And all these streams and sub-streams and little trickles, that's what services the whole body. But there's these big streams, the 12 meridians, these big ones that they're the ones that you tend to concentrate on. And if they're flowing strong, it proves your posture is right, your breathing is right, and your body mechanics are right. And that's the life enhancing aspect of what Qigong is about. So it's a pure health exercising system, Qigong. And it's used in a medical sense. More than Tai Chi. Qigong primarily is health enhancing, exercising, and medical beneficial aspects of it, used for people who have health conditions. They would turn to Qigong. Tai Chi, separate from that, appeared on the scene round about 1200 AD-ish, something like that, round about that time. And it was originally created out of the Shaolin arts, out of the martial arts around at that time, because Tai Chi Chuan, the full name, it means grand ultimate boxing. Now, the grand ultimate boxing means it's like the best of the best. It's like it pulls from all the other styles and creates this one best of the best. So it started off as a martial arts more than anything else really at that time, an accumulation of all the other martial arts into what became known as an internal art. Internal art means, and it's like Qigong is internal, as in you're trying to enhance your health, which resides inside you. It's not on the outside, it's on the inside, your health. Well, Tai Chi Chuan is about inside, enhancing your warrior spirit, getting your spirit, Chinese call it Shen, enhancing your warrior spirit, strengthening your heart, your lungs, your stamina. So on a battlefield, you would live longer, strengthening your resolve. And so it's all that going. And then these amazing techniques, how to actually apply these techniques, in a battle situation. Yeah.
We're going to have to look at the application on the other side of a station break. Peter and I will return very shortly, so don't go away. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Do you know how to breathe? With us this hour discussing longevity is Sifu Peter Newton, the author of 8 Steps to Living a Long Life, The Earth Path of Taoism. Peter, breathing. You mentioned breathing earlier. What is profound breathing and what are its benefits?
Profound breathing is just how the ancient Chinese described the actual name for breathing. Chinese name for breathing is Hu Xi. Hu Xi. Now, Hu Xi in itself is a much deeper way of understanding breathing than what we in the Western world would understand. For us, breathing is just something we do. This is, I wake up in the morning and realize I'm still breathing. Thank God I'm still breathing, Whereas, the Chinese would actually work on the breathing to develop it so it becomes very powerful for them, and therefore profound in nature. So those who've established what they call the full body breathing, whole body, which is known as Tihushi, which is a whole body alive with the breath, then it's profound breathing. And the way to describe whole body breathing is you feel as if, instead of having like your chest expanding and contracting when you're breathing, you feel like your whole body, right down to your fingertips and down to your toes, all the torso, you feel it up in the head, everywhere. When you breathe in, you feel like it's one big lung. You breathe in and you breathe out, and you can feel it influences the whole body, that breathing. That's profound. And it's gone big, it's profound, grand breathing, So that's where it comes from. That's where the profound comes from.
So when you're speaking about breathing in, you're breathing in through the whole body. Are you also not just air, but are you working energy?
You're not consciously working energy. There's something which I'm very keen to inform my students, that they should not try and work the energy in their bodies. The body knows what to do. The body is the most amazing thing. It knows what to do. But what you've got to do is create the conditions so that it does what it needs to do. So the breathing is not forced. Everything is natural. And the energy comes from just the naturalness of your breathing. But then you have to link it to posture and body mechanics and location. Location's important. You don't want to go to just outside the gates of a chemical factory and then start filling your lungs. That won't help your longevity plan. So you need to be going to the right place. Chinese call this feng shui. Feng shui is where the earth's qi, the earth energy, is healthy and clean. Now, where I live here in North Wales, by the way, Wales is not in England. I'll just make a point on that now, because I was introduced. I went to Boston in the US, and there was a big crowd of people, and I was introduced. This is Peter, my student. He's from Wales in England. So everybody thinks Wales is in England in Boston for some reason. But no, Wales, in North Wales, it's like the mini Alps where we live. It's like living in the Alps, the European Alps. It's like that on a mini scale. And it's beautiful. And it's got the most amazing feng shui, beautiful air quality, fantastic coastlines, deep ravines, waterfalls. We've got the lot going on here, which I believe in Colorado they have as well. So we've got the right, I'm in the right place to do that type of breathing, and that, I'm in the perfect, even the village I live in, the people who are suffering from tuberculosis, they opened up a TB hospital here because of the air quality. It was purely because of the air quality down here where I live, So I'm in the right place to apply this stuff, And it's all about air quality. We get good air quality, breathe correctly, then you're on the right track for longevity, without a doubt.
So what about the people that don't have the advantage of living in Colorado in the high Rockies or in Wales?
Well, it's all you can do is actually choose your timing. So you hit first thing in the morning before the traffic builds up. If you're a city dweller, before the traffic builds up, last thing at night as the traffic quietens down, then do your breathing. So before you go to bed, go out into your yard or open your window, go out into your garden and just do some breathing. Not any old breathing, the breathing that I'm going to suggest. Same in the morning, before the rush hour starts, the air quality will have improved. So you just do it at the time, but don't do it at the rush hour in the early morning, and don't do it in the evening rush hour, because the pollution levels, and then you're going to bring it deep down into the bottom of your lungs. and through your blood system, service your body with pollutants. Not wise. So,
Not
but
wise.
choose your timing, because the air does clear at certain times of the day, even in sissies,
So, what advantages do these ancient practices provide that modern medicine lacks?
Yes, it's interesting, because I think a lot of medical people come to my classes, and they, you can see they're scratching their heads with the simpleness of it, and it's almost that they go, why didn't I think of that? You've got medical schools have, a certain way of teaching, and these are the Bibles of medicine, and you must teach within this guidance, within the Bibles of medicine, and within the protocols. This is how you do it. And it's the same in the UK, just the same. They can't step outside. But in recent years, they're starting to do it. Because when I first approached back in the late 80s, I had first approached the medical fraternity with this wondrous stuff that even then I was starting to get a good feel for it. And I thought this will be useful for hospitals and that type of thing, people recovering. They thought I was some kind of a strange witch doctor. And the doors were just slamming and slamming and slamming in my face, Excuse me a second. I'll pull my earbuds out. Right, I'll try not to do that again. I'm 6'4" with 6'4" long arms. So they're all over the place.
When you get waving, then you never know what you're going to
You
hit.
never know it, yeah. So, but now in the US, I know for a fact in Canada and places like that, and certainly in the UK, they actually now embrace what I teach. And I do now, since I had quite a bad accident, I switched fully to medical, Tai Chi and qigong, and I've been doing that since 2007, working full-time professional as a medical based in the most amazing. I can look back on my career and say, what a fantastic career I've had in helping people with all sorts of ailments.
So, when you're doing the medical form, do you do hands-on work? What do you do for people?
No, you're trying to avoid too much hands-on work. Hands-on work drains your chi. It drains your life force. And there's so many people who, hands-on healers, who place their hands on people who aren't well, only to find the people who aren't well are draining their life force. The people who aren't well go into a state what's called yin. You have the symbol over my shoulder, the yin and yang. The yin means to draw, the yang means to give, to offer, whereas the yin means to draw and take. Sick people draw. The body calls for it. They want energy. They need energy. When they lose energy, they're constantly drawing it. And we're organic, we breathe. So if you're next to a person who's also organic and breathe, you'll breathe the life force straight out of them if you're sickly. So you need to, I'll do it again. Hang on. So what you need to do is be aware that hands-on is only applied by people who have built up a very powerful life force, and they only allow a certain amount, because I've worked with them. Master Michael Shea, for example, who's an international healer, spent many years with him, and he would work so hard to build up his life force chi, his own chi. He would go through lots of training before he'd even open his clinic to do any healing, which involved touching. So he wouldn't just wake up in the morning, go into the clinic and start putting his hands on people for healing. He would actually work hard on himself to boost his own chi, so that he can offer the surplus, in a sense, to them without affecting his own life force. And that's how it was taught to me. So there's times I'll do it. I'll put my hands on and I'll open up somebody, say they have a frozen shoulder. I'll open up the shoulder joint, and then I'll move the chi through the shoulder, massage it through, and then I'll put a little bit of my chi in there just to create a bit more balance with the chi in that zone. And then I'll come away. And I feel fine after, because I haven't overdone it. And that's the key with it.
So where do you build your chi from? Do we just come with a certain amount and that's it, or can we gain it back from the earth?
You align yourself between heaven and earth. That's it. It's called three powers training. I'll say all this is information is in the book about how to do this and how to align yourself with heaven and earth. When you align yourself with heaven, that means you feel like your crown of your head is connected to the heavens, and your feet are firmly rooted on the ground. Everything between is balanced and open. And it's when it's balanced and open, your body absorbs chi and stores it. That's the key. It stores the chi. And we have a battery, an invisible battery just behind our belly button area. And that's where they call the center. Chinese call it dantian, which is the energy center in the lower abdomen. That's the center of it also happens to be your center of gravity and center of mass for the human body, is just there behind your belly button. It's where your energy is stored and processed. And what the Chinese have noticed is that that area fills, that area becomes stronger electromagnetically, particle energies. Scientists have been able, in China, have been measuring the energy levels. And a qigong and Tai Chi master has a very strong energy field around the waist because it actually comes to that. It comes to that area. So that's what it's all about, is absorbing this energy through correct alignment between heaven and earth. That's
So is it just automatic? If you get the correct alignment, then does the power flow, so to speak?
Then yes, this is the point. What you can't do is force energy into your body. It's got to come in natural. And the body is, as I say, the way I teach, used to teach, which would have been, say, 20, 30 years ago when I really started kicking in with the teaching. I would have maybe leaned a bit more towards, draw the chi into here and then bring your hands over it and hold the energy that only through experience and talking to my Chinese teachers over the decades and experiencing things, I realized nothing needs to be forced at all. You just got to create the conditions. It's like, I want warm air to come into the house to make the house feel warm. Okay, open the front door.
Well, we're going to have to take another station break. Peter and I will be right back to continue our discussion. So please, just stay right there. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. Did the ancients have the right idea? This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. With us discussing Tai Chi, Qigong, is Sifu Peter Newton. His website, ChinaBridgeTaiChi.com. Peter, there's a term that I found here in some of your work, and that's the primoral shun. What is that?
Primoral, say it again.
Primoral, S-H-U-N, shun.
S-H-U-N. You should be S-H-E-N.
Oh, okay.
Shen.
Shen.
Okay. Yeah, Shen. That to me is the most interesting aspect of all my research and all my own personal practice, is to develop Shen. Shen is the result of your body coming into focus, becoming as healthy as you can make it, your breathing becoming profound, and the combination of a healthy body and profound breathing, it feeds into what they call a higher frequency of energy that resides in the core of your body. They say it's stored in the heart generally, and when you develop your inner circulation with this. Your circulation improves. It radiates out from the heart and also goes into the brain and radiates out from the brain as well. And I thought that was, when I first thought about it, yeah, okay, I believe that. Yeah, that's that. But it sounds good. But yeah, sure. But I'm experiencing it. I'm experiencing it. I'm experiencing when I'm actually on form and I'm flowing. I can feel my Shen. And it's not just that. Others around me feel it. Others in my class, people come, my classes are incredibly busy. There are people coming in, always new people coming in all the time because they're hearing about what I do. And I just stand in front of them. And when I'm on form, you can actually see their faces lighting up. There's an energy in the field. And that's because Shen is refined energy in your body that by nature radiates outwards. And if you see, yeah, sorry.
If you build your Shen up, which sounds like it's kind of an advanced form, what happens with the likelihood of heart attack or dementia?
It lessens your risk dramatically because for Shen to actually, if the Shen has arrived, it means your breathing is absolutely, your respiration is at top form. It means the oxygen's getting to your brain. And a big feature if it comes to, for example, strokes and heart attacks is to do with the supply of oxygen to the tissues and how to open the circulation. So heart attack would come from problems with the blood vessels, the filling up of the blood vessels. It would also come from, aided by poor posture, shallow breathing. The heart and the lungs are intrinsically linked. If you have weak lungs, it will weaken your heart. If you have weak heart, it'll weaken your lungs. They are intrinsically linked. But if your lungs are strong, that feeds that into the heart. Because if the lungs are strong, it means your chest cavity and your upper chest cavity has space, more space to breathe. If you have more space, all the blood vessels coming into the heart have space to flow in and out the heart. The heart itself, because the sternum is elevated constantly, it means it's got space for it to pump and to move. So many people, through poor posture, they let the chest sink, the chin goes out, they then oppress the heart and they then oppress the lungs and contract the soft tissues around the area, the space is contracting, and then they try and breathe and find a shallow breathing, which then affects the amount of oxygen get into the brain, which is the primary. And when the oxygen in the brain is being starved, cells suffer. And the cells then, people who are in that condition are more likely to develop dementia. So it's about this, open, armpits, massively important. Armpits must be open. If your armpits are closed, your shoulders go up, your chest tightens, your spine stiffens. Armpits open, your ribs expand as you breathe in, they contract as you breathe out. As soon as you close your armpits, everything locks up. So the first thing I do is people will come up to me and say, I've got COPD, this one of the lung conditions, and I just go straight away and start opening them up to breathe. And I switch them from mouth breathing to nose breathing, and they're with me for life. They're never gone, man. They're with me for life. They just stay with me because they know they're not getting the problems that they used to have. Straight away is opening up their breathing. Diaphragm's got space.
So are there any independent studies done, medical studies done with the effectiveness?
As in the book, I refer to quite a few studies in the book. And there's been so many, I can't even bring one to mind. There's that many, like Harvard Medical School in the US. So, because I'm talking, primarily to you. Harvard Medical School, I've done countless now, spent so much money on research into Tai Chi and qigong. And they have a guiding light in Harvard Medical School. He's an associate professor of medicine there called Peter Wayne. And he's written a book called Medical Tai Chi. He's written a book called Medical Tai Chi. So he in America was the first to do that, and I'm the first over here in the UK to do it over here and to work with it. And it's not like I've only done it since he's done it. I've been doing it for decades, and no doubt he's been doing it for decades. You know, but I didn't even know he existed. We were both doing the same thing. You know,
It's wonderful
so
when that comes together.
it's in the US. It's a powerful force in the US.
So if I were to take up these practices, what differences could I expect to see?
Right. So there's some people that may think if I take up Tai Chi, it might take too long. I need help right now. If you got the right teacher, you'll get instant benefits. If you and there's so many good teachers out there now. When I first took up Tai Chi practice, and this was, as I say, 44 years ago. Actually, now it's 45. I just realized. Tai Chi was being misunderstood. It was certainly in the UK. I can only quote about the UK. Whereas now there's some amazing teachers out there now, some fantastic teachers. So the likelihood that you will find a good teacher is very high now. And if you walk into a Tai Chi class or a qigong class, or usually you get Tai Chi and qigong under the same roof. The teacher, if the teacher's a decent teacher, will look at you and analyze your posture and tell you what's causing your problem by your posture alone. Did you know that that's causing the problem with your hip? Did you know that's causing the problem with your knee? Did you realize that's why your neck is creating all these symptoms that you've been having? You didn't realize it's all coming from your neck, you know? Why your breathing is so shallow, because I notice you're only using your mouth with bad posture, and they'll adjust your posture, and you'll notice, you'll feel the difference, you know.
Do you have to kind of repattern yourself? In other words, you've got these habitual postures. Do you have to constantly correct for a while before you imprint the new one?
Yeah, this is why I recommend you go to a Tai Chi class, rather than maybe just follow a DVD or something like that. Go to a Tai Chi class, because by their nature, you'll be going every week. And every week your teacher will be reminding you and adjusting you and explaining to you the benefits of this posture and that posture, how to breathe, how not to breathe. And you get that reaffirming visit every week as you go along. So
and then you can do whatever at home, but
eventually at home, you start noticing you're correcting yourself. You realize, like, that posture, the sunken posture, which is damaging everything, suddenly you notice that you're sitting like this. You think, oh, this feels better. And then your energy levels come up. Your brain is sharper. You feel more energized. And the big noticeable difference is your voice sounds different. Because, there's more air flowing in and out over your vocal cords. You find your diaphragm's working deeper. You'll find your voice becomes very powerful. Which is why singers tend to turn more to Tai Chi classes, because they know it works the diaphragm for them,
Well, we live in a time when we sure take our bumps and bruises. There's very few people that reach our age and haven't been in a car accident and all of a soft tissue injury, even if you don't break something.
Yeah.
How much is that impacting us, and how much can Tai Chi help with that?
I can talk from experience. If I didn't have an accident myself, I can only talk from what I've done to help people who've had accidents. But I can actually talk from an accident. I was on a motorway, and the motorway, for whatever reason, had come to a halt. All brake lights ahead of me. I slowed down, stopped, and just behind me, I looked in the mirror, and there was a guy coming behind me, and he hit me, glancing blow at 70 miles an hour.
Oh my goodness.
And it lifted my car up in the air. And in the middle reservation between both sides of the motorway, they have the barriers. My car ended up on top of the barriers. And I tore my sacrum in that, and I had serious whiplash injury in my neck. And I had that's what I had to deal with from that point onwards. And I was already practicing Tai Chi at that time. And what I found was, having had the diagnosis that I couldn't teach again, I was told by the specialist that I couldn't teach again, 2 specialists, and they told me to start claiming invalidity benefit, is what it's called then. You should claim invalidity benefit. You'll qualify for it now. And I took my piece of paper from the specialists to the social services, and I handed it to them, and they awarded it to me immediately. So I became signed up as an invalid with this condition. But it was only, not long, 2-3 weeks into it, I had already started using the skills that I got. And I was noticing I was getting less of the unbelievable symptoms. These symptoms from my neck were just over the edge. They were ridiculous. But I was getting less. I was noticing it by adjustments. I could start lessening all this incredible numbness and tingling right down to my feet, nausea, tinnitus like you've never heard, nerves making me jump, a whole range of stuff. Eyesight going blurred 1 minute and then clearing up the next. I was having all sorts. But because of what I knew about neck position and posture, I noticed I was starting to change things. So Tai Chi immediately came to my help. And for somebody who's not supposed to be able to teach again, in my practice, I switched it around 18 months, and I was near enough back to normal again.
My goodness.
Within 18 months of something that was supposed to be left me an invalid for the rest of my life. And I've seen people with the same injury and they go downhill. And I've seen them go from with a walking stick, then eventually into a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Because they don't know this stuff. They don't know the stuff I know. Yeah.
Well, it's time
I'm
for
a massive fan. Yeah.
It's time for another station break. Please stay with us as Peter and I continue to explore health, longevity, Tai Chi, and qigong. This is Mission Evolution, www.missionevolution.org. So what's in it for me? This is Mission Evolution, missionevolution.org. We're continuing our discussion with Sifu Peter Newton. His website, ChinaBridgeTaiChi.com. So, Peter, let's go into what the person can expect. How long does it take to see results from the practice?
So, as I mentioned, straight away, you'll notice relief. If you've got any medical conditions, if just after one session, go in with your notebook and make little notes, of what's been said, then go home and then just apply them. And so pretty much you'll notice subtle changes from day one will happen. But then you have to just apply that and keep getting the advice from the medical world, your physiotherapists of this world, your own specialist, if you're under a specialist, that type of thing. Still, you're totally still involved with them, but with Tai Chi running along and the mechanics and the breathing, etc., that goes with that. It's a fantastic bolt-on to your therapy. And it enhances whatever they're showing you. It sort of soups it up. It tones it up and fires it all up, So they can expect to find 6 months into, under the correct teacher, they can expect to see some serious results. They really can.
So, excuse me. If we go back to your story from the last segment of what you went through and were considered going to be an invalid here, but when you took it back up again, you already had a history of the practice. You had already embodied it, if you will. What about people that get such a serious injury, like you were talking, but have not had any kind of a background whatsoever, where they haven't embodied any of this? What are they looking at?
They need to be, let's say, open themselves to what's out there. They need to look at in wherever they're living. They need to look at what's out there, who's out there that is going to be able to teach me. If you're in a wheelchair, for example, you can get amazing results even though you are, actually in a wheelchair. I teach so many people. I teach people in the UK Stroke Association, and they're all sitting down, and you can actually see their energy levels rising. You can see the faces coloring up. You can see the spirits rising. Their Shen, their spirits lift. That's what Shen is. It's raising their spirits. All that is part of healing. It's all part of healing. And there's some people, you can't, if somebody has actually broken their spine, let's say, I'd love to be able to walk up to them, just touch their spine, and it heals, and then they're up and running. They're fantastic. But what you can do is you can make them cope better with it. You can help them to cope with it much better than not knowing this stuff. So they need to look for Tai Chi and Qigong, qualified Tai Chi and Qigong. And when they go to a class, they need to just go and watch. Because if they go into a Tai Chi class, it might be one of those Tai Chi classes that only specialize in martial arts. And if it's a martial arts Tai Chi class, that's fantastic, very traditional. That's how it was taught. But if you're going there for healing, you need to be looking for somebody who's teaching Tai Chi stroke Qigong for healing. And then have a look at what they do. And what I always say is look at their students. If the students look all drawn and sallow and miserable and poor postures, turn around and go straight back out. If the students look healthy and they're chatting and there's a lovely atmosphere and there's a buzz in the air, stay there. That's it.
So can anyone take up the practice regardless of age or physical condition?
Anyone, yeah. I get kids. There was, I think, a child came in not long ago. He was an 8-year-old character, took over the class, stood at the side of me, ended up teaching with me. It's a big group, Parkinson's group, all room packed out with Parkinson's people. He got on stage and he was teaching with me on stage. Never done it before, but he picked it up so quick. I showed him a movement. Next thing, he was going around showing people how to do it. So kids can have fun with this. So you can bring children to it, but you can also, generally take it right up to people in the 90s, which I do have some people in the 90s in my classes. My oldest student I ever had was an old lady called Betty here in Wales, and she lived to 104, and she trained with me right up to the end. And she did what the ancient Chinese talk about. The ideal situation is to live long and die healthy. And that's what she did. She took it right to the end. She'd walk about probably a quarter of a mile to the class to join in the class, right up towards the end of her life. And she was full of spirit, a strong spirit, full of laughter. I miss her greatly because she had such a character. But that's the level you can go to with this stuff. You can take it people beyond 100, And they're saying now, as I say in the book, I refer to this university in the Netherlands. They're saying you could actually live with the way modern science is and exercises. You could live. Ladies can live to 116 and men to 115. And this is what this research in this university in Netherlands have discovered. And I can believe that. I can believe if you get somebody like myself who understands how to nurture people along and how to help them with their breathing, their posture, the body mechanics, give them advice on the things that they've been doing wrong, and then have Western medicine helping them as they're going along. Getting to 116 for ladies, 115. Men have nearly caught up with you. We're nearly there now. We're nearly caught up with you. That's possible. That's achievable, So all age groups, and so in a way you can say in the future is going to be beyond 100. Could be in the classes.
So it makes sense to me that if our chi comes from our alignment with the planet, if we tend to our alignment with the planet, then we have more life flowing through us. Does
Yeah,
that anchor our soul better, if you will?
it does. It changes your mood. Your mood. If people who suffer from depression, they should be, my advice, go straight in right now, book yourself in on a Tai Chi lesson. Go straight out there, because they're going to open up your posture. Yet they're going to open up the servicing to service the brain. They're going to have more oxygen to the brain. It's going to switch the chemistry in your brain. And that's what it's known to do. It switches the chemistry in your brain. You go in and exercise and raise your chest, raise your head, look up to the sky, smile at the heavens, ground yourself, bring your hands down. You go through exercises like that, your mood disappears. The melancholy cloud around you just disperses. It's so powerful for people who are maybe having conditions like that. So I would say the first thing you do, go to a Tai Chi class. It's fantastic with switching your mood. And it's known, again, proven to help people with depression. It switches the depressive chemistry off to switches over to happy chemistry, which is your parasympathetic system. It switches that straight on, which is a great thing,
I when I started studying martial arts, I started out with Taekwondo, and I ended up being international instructor, second-degree black belt. And of all the people I talked to,
Yeah.
all my instructors, they didn't talk about the energy of the thing. It was all the mechanics.
Yeah.
And of course, the posture and the stance, but it was all the
Yeah.
mechanics. They didn't talk about energy at all.
No.
They did talk about breathing, because you have to breathe in and then exhale
Yeah.
as you bring the force through.
That's right. Yeah.
But is that just what the West has done to the practices, or are they that
No,
too?
not really. No, I think it's taught that way anyway. I think that the what we call the hard style martial arts, like Taekwondo and karate and those type of hard arts, they're taught even in Japan and in Korea. They are taught about breathing to improve the power of the punch and all that, and the power of the strike with the hand. And very mechanical in terms of to make yourself a moving weapon, and that's what it's all about. But the higher levels of Taekwondo and karate, you'll actually find out that the highest levels of the dans, the highest level instructors, they actually start to turn to Tai Chi, and they incorporate it into their own training, because they know that's what takes them to another level. And the wisest ones actually then build the internal, more softer flowing aspects of Tai Chi into their art, because I know, because I've had them over the many years coming to my class to learn it from me. I've had lots of dans with me. In fact, I've got 2 or 3 now with me, because they know they hit the ceiling with what they do. If they want to take it for their own personal development, they need to then turn to the likes of Tai Chi, which will take them. There's no ceiling on Tai Chi. The universe is open to us. That's what I like about Tai Chi. It's not like, oh, I've reached the end of my training. Now, 44 years into training, I feel like I'm still scratching the surface of it, It's amazing.
Well, let's face it, as we age, I'm not about to do a flying kick at this point. It's just not going to
Thankfully.
happen, right?
Yeah,
Without
thankfully.
breaking myself. So it sounds like the longevity factor of the practice of Tai Chi and Qigong is more user-friendly long-term.
Long
Is that-
term.
is
Totally,
that
yeah.
what you'd say?
It's user-friendly for short term, but it's best once you start, keep it with you. Keep it with you. Just stay with it, because all it's doing is switching you back to where you should have been in the first place. It's switching your posture back to how it should be correctly aligned. It's switching your body mechanics back, how to bend, how to stretch, how to walk, how to lift things, how to lower things. So it's switching you back to how you should be. And the important thing as well is how to sit. Tai Chi teaches, and you see all this in my book. This Tai Chi will teach you how to sit correctly as well. If you didn't know, you've got thing underneath your bottom. Under your buttocks, you have sitting bones. And most people don't know about that. So what they do is they sit on their coccyx.
Doesn't work well. Well,
Doesn't work.
it's that time. We're about
Yeah.
out of time. So I have to ask you, Peter, what's your mission?
My mission is to never retire, even though I'm in my 70th year, and carry on in a balanced way. Carry on because I have, other things in my life to do, such as writing. I thoroughly enjoy doing that. But carry on teaching and sharing this amazing knowledge. So I just see myself through my 70s, 80s, in my 90s, still teaching. I still see myself teaching this amazing art because I believe in it. I totally believe in it.
Well, I could see you there myself. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Peter, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your knowledge.
You're welcome. I've enjoyed it.
Our guest this hour has been Sifu Peter Newton, the author of 8 Steps to Living Long Life, The Earth Path of Taoism. To find out more about Peter, where you can find his books and all he has to offer, visit his website, ChinaBridgeTaiChi.com. This has been Mission Evolution with Gwilda Wiyaka. For more information or to enjoy our past archived episodes, visit www.missionevolution.org. But please be sure to join me right here next time. This mission will continue, bringing information, resources, and support to our rapidly evolving world.